2021, and today we're talking about achieving goals. We're talking about achieving goals. So yesterday we were talking about defining our goals. We're talking about decade dreaming. We're talking about thinking in terms of 10 years, in terms of our goals and things we wanted to achieve and work on. And today we're going to be talking about, okay, once we've defined those goals, how do we go about achieving them? And I know that many of you would have heard that, research was done that showed that of a particular graduating class of, a premier university, only a small percentage of them wrote down their goals. And then 30 years later, when they reviewed those people, it was only the people who wrote down their goals who had fulfilled all their life goals. And that is fantastic, but writing goals down is not enough because goals don't perform themselves. They must be achieved. I believe it's TD Jakes that says it will work if you work it. So it's one thing to write down goals. It's another thing to do the work to get the goals achieved. And so I wanted to start by looking at why goals are not achieved. And there are three main reasons I believe that goals are not achieved. So the first is they're not well designed. Many times when, we start at the beginning of the year, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. And, a lot of what we call goals are actually pipe dreams. They're not well designed, they're fantasies, they're wishes, they're things we want to happen, but they are not goals. Okay. So all of us know this, but for those of us who don't, I'm just going to talk you through quickly what it means to define a goal, right? What a goal should look like. So all goals should be SMART. And by that, it means all the letters in the word SMART stand for certain elements of a goal that must be in place if the goal is going to be one that is achievable. So the first thing is that it must be SMART. And so SMART means specific. The S in the SMART means specific. So, I want to own property is not a goal, right? I want to buy 2 houses in 2021 is a goal. So the first goal should be specific. So sorry, instead of SMART, there should be specific, right? Your goal has to be defined. I want to get fit is not a goal. I want to lose 5 pounds or 6 pounds is a goal, right? Or I want to lose a dress size is a goal. So if you're going to make a goal that you can work with, it has to be specific. M is for measurable. It has to be a goal that you can measure. How will you know that you are achieving that goal? And that's why it has to be specific, because if I say, I want to lose weight, if at the end of the year I've lost a pound, you could say technically that I have fulfilled my goal, but really I haven't, because it might just have been fluctuating. Your weight fluctuates from day to day anyway. So it's for a goal to be a SMART goal, it has to be measurable, and it is measurable if it is specific. Okay, so you want to be able to look in March and say, am I 25% towards my goal? Am I 50% towards my goal? Am I, and that works if the goal is clear. A is for achievable, right? So my goal could be, how can I put it? If I say I want to fly in 2021, it's not achievable. If I say I want to be an Olympian in 2021, it's not achievable. If I say I want to become a medical doctor in 2021, it's not achievable. It's not achievable because to become a doctor, I need to go through about 6 years of training before I can even start thinking of that goal. And as human beings, we haven't yet found a way to fly unless it's in a plane. So there's some goals we can have that are just not, achievable. And, you speak to children and say, oh, I'm going to have green muscles, and then I'm going to go in my scooter into the sky. And some of us, like as adults, we have those sorts of goals because, they're vast, they're unrealistic, and they can never be achieved. So if our goals are going to be SMART goals, they have to be goals that are achievable. And that leads us on to the next, which is realistic, right? Um, Realistic means something that actually, with effort and with application, I can make it work. I can make it happen this year. So it has to be realistic. For example, if I said at the end of 2021, I want to be a millionaire, um, it's possible, but it's not realistic, right? We spoke yesterday about decade dreaming. And we spoke again about this goal of maybe amassing 1 million. If I said I wanted to be a millionaire in 10 years' time, that is realistic if I do certain things, right? But in 1 year, it's not realistic. And this is also a reason why many of our goals are not achieved, because we want to achieve too much in too little time. We spoke about yesterday, I shared a quote with you where I said many of us overestimate what we can achieve in a year and underestimate what we can achieve in 10 years. Time is your friend, and this is where the magic of planning happens. That if we think far enough, or have vision for a good amount of time, and are able to work at it year on year, then actually over durations or spans of time, we can actually achieve quite remarkable things, right? So being realistic about our goals is really, really important. So if you're a business owner starting a business, they say it takes about 3 years for a business to break even. So if you are starting a business and you're saying that, in this year you want to make 1 million, it's possible, but it's not realistic, right? If it happens, it's a miracle, and God specializes in that, right? But we are not God. We are planning here within our means and strengths. So and the last is time bound. Okay, so you have to have a goal has a deadline, right? Anything without a deadline is a pipe dream. Okay, one day I'm going to be rich. One day I'm going to be slim. One day I'm going to own my business. One day never comes. One day is always moving. One day is always shifting. So for a goal to be smart, it has to be time bound. When is the deadline? What are you going to do to achieve it? By what time? So one of the things I do, I write at least a book each year, is that many times I will print the book. I will ask them to design a cover, and sometimes I'll announce a book before I've written it. I'm doing that to put pressure on myself to achieve my deadline, right? Because if I don't do that, the year can pass, because there's a lot going on, and other things can come and take the place of that, and that goal is not achieved. So for a goal to be smart, it's got to have a deadline by which you're working to achieve it. So this is one reason why people do not achieve their goals. Number one, the goals are not well designed. Number two, passion and drive is not strong enough for a goal. Let's be realistic. Many of us, when we say at the beginning of the year, we're going to lose weight, we're not passionate about losing weight. We think it's a good idea. We think it's something we should do, but we're not really determined about it. We say, oh, we're going to, eat healthily this year, but we're not really passionate about that. We still want to eat our carbohydrates and chocolates and all our desserts, so if a goal is going to be achieved, passion and drive for it has to be strong in order for the goal to be achieved. And what can you do? Because passion and drive is not something you can manufacture. But I think there are one or two things that you can do that can help you during the year to stay driven and passionate about your goal. Number one is to employ what I call end of year remorse. So this is a great time for you actually to think about all the things that you said you were going to do in 2020 that you didn't do, and to think about how you feel about that. Yesterday we talked about reflection, and one of the questions we asked was, what could you have done better last year? In which areas did you not perform as well as you would like? So if you look through your goals and 80% of them, 70% of them were not achieved, and this is stuff that is stuff that is not out of your control. So obviously, if you wanted to get married and COVID happened and you couldn't, that's out of your hands. But there might have been some personal goals, developmental goals, health goals, spiritual goals that lockdown did not affect. So writing all of those down and realizing, if you can look through your goals and you realize that 60-70% of your goals, 80% of your goals that were within your personal capacity to achieve were not achieved, then you need to look inward, and you need to look at, okay, I have to be accountable for not following through, and the disappointment that I feel for not doing so well this year. How can I use that to motivate me for next year? Because we don't want to end another year feeling bad, feeling it was a year that was unproductive, a year in which we didn't move forward. Because that's the amazing thing about this pandemic. I know people who have thrived in lockdown. I know people who have started businesses in lockdown. I know people whose spiritual life has improved in lockdown. I know people have lost weight in lockdown. I know people whose marriages have improved during lockdown. So the pandemic is not an excuse for not having movement, in our life. And so I want us to encourage us to take whatever remorse, whatever guilt, whatever negativity you feel about what didn't work in 2020 and use it to motivate you for the coming year. It also helps me if I think long term. And, yesterday we did decade dreaming. And I invited all the ladies who were on to think about the future and to think, for example, if you're 39 now, or in 10 years time, you're going to be 50. If you are 49 or 50 now, in the next 10 years, you're going to be 60. Those are milestone ages. And, what are you, I asked this question: what will the woman you are going to be at 60, what does she require of you today? Right? The 60-year-old you, the 50-year-old you, what is she asking of you today to do to become that woman in 10 years' time? So thinking long term, some of us who are approaching 50, in 10, 15 years, we're looking at retirement. What is in place for that financially? Beginning really to think long term, because just one day, next month, but if you begin to think that far, then all of a sudden the urgency of doing something today is really driven home. So thinking long term is something I really encourage. And all of these are sheets in the planner. So for those of you who already have the Becoming Planner, you know that there's sheets on decade dreaming, there's sheets on reviewing your year, and there's sheets on becoming goals, setting goals for the coming year. And then creating a vision board is also another powerful way of staying motivated. They say we become predominantly whatever it is we continuously observe. So keeping a picture before you continuously um, is a very, very important motivator. I'm smiling because when I was in Nigeria, I bought this beautiful play suit. It's white and blue silk batik, and I have it hanging on my wardrobe, and I want to wear it every day, but it doesn't make sense in the UK. You know, it's cold. People would think, is this lady a clown? Because this is winter. Why is she wearing a white and blue jumpsuit? But the reason why I want to wear it all the time is because it's hanging on my wardrobe. I see it every morning. Once I put it in my wardrobe, I'm going to forget about it. And this is what happens most times for the, with our goals. We write them in our journal at the beginning of the year. Our journal is, beautifully written out. Everything is planned. Then we put it in our handbag or we put it in our drawer, and we don't see it again until December. So having a visual representation of your journal, of your plans, is very, very a great motivator. Sometimes you can use your screensaver on your laptop, can be your goals for the year, or you can actually get one of those notice boards, cut pictures, put them on it. A young lady shared a testimony with me, which I shared last service, of how she came to one of the sessions where we did vision boarding, one of our January meetings. At that time, she was a 23-year-old living with her mom, but buying a home was one of the things that she put on her vision board. And she sent me a text in December to say that she had bought a house. She showed me a picture of herself in front of the house. A 25-year-old woman, she bought a 4-bedroom detached house. She doesn't need to buy another house. That is a house she can live in for 30, 40, 50 years. It's a family she can grow her home in, I mean, her family in. And I applauded her vision, because if, you know, she bought a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom flat, there's nothing special about that. 25-year-olds do that all the time. But 25-year-olds do not buy 4-bedroom detached houses in established residential areas. So that was an act of faith, but it was possible because she had her vision board and she kept it before her continuously and worked towards it. So creating a vision board is a great passion driver, and keeping you focused. And then lastly, people don't achieve goals because there's no follow through. When all is said and done, you have to work your goals. Writing them down is not enough. You've got to take action, you've got to take steps, you've got to do stuff, to make it happen. That's why we put this quote there: it will work if you work it. You've got to work it. Um, so, is there a key to achieving goals? Is there a secret to achieving goals? We look at people who are highly successful. We look at people who make things happen each year. And we're wondering, what's their secret? How do they do it? Do they have a secret weapon? Do they have some extra hours each day that we don't have? No, they don't. The key to achieving goals is very simple: fulfill projects. If you can set projects and fulfill projects, you will achieve your goals. Okay, what is a project? A project is a series of activities or steps needed to achieve a specific goal, right? A series of activities or steps to achieve a specific goal. It's as simple as that. If you can take your goal, make it a project, break down the specific activities and steps required to achieve that goal, and work through it. At the end of the year, you will have results. Okay, you may not have, 100% result in all of the areas, but in the areas in which you work, your project, your goals that have been broken down into projects, you will have results. So let's talk a little bit about defining projects around your becoming goals. So we talked about various goals that you could, becoming goals. Remember, we said the becoming planner is not just about achieving goals, it's about personal transformation. We want to, at the end of the year, be better than we started the year at. We don't only want to, you can have 1 million at the end of the year and not be a better person, because you've cut all sorts of um, loops, to achieve that. So with becoming is about transformation and growth. So for example, um, we spoke also about roles. I can't recap all the things we spoke about yesterday. One of the features of the planner is, as women, we are multi-jugglers. We carry many roles in life. So we looked at the various roles we play as women, and I encouraged them to set goals based on those various areas, becoming goals. How do you want to grow? How do you want to be different in those areas this year? So, for example, one of your roles is as a child of God, as a Christian, as a believer. What are your specific goals around that aspect of your life? So, for some person, it could be to become more godly. you know uh I always thought, oh, my fruit of the spirit in my life is so well developed. Me and the Holy Ghost were fine. And then, I had a couple of incidents in Nigeria where I lost my temper, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not where I thought I was. So certainly for me, this year, one of the things that I'm working on is improving in patience and more of the fruit of the spirit. So growing the fruit of the spirit can be one of your goals this year. And you might ask me, how can growing in the fruit of the spirit be a goal? It can definitely be a goal, and we can look, um, if we have time in Q&A, somebody can bring it up, because I can't, work on or flesh out fully all of these items. Another goal for somebody might be to become a property investor. Okay, so that is your becoming goal, and the project around it might be to start your investment portfolio in 2021. One of the ladies said yesterday that one of her had that what she wanted, this year she wanted to become a mompreneur. She wanted to become an entrepreneur. She's a mom with a young child, and she wants to work from home. So I just used start a fragrance business as an example. I don't know what her line of business is. I just picked that as an example, as a project, right, to start this year. For somebody who is a wife, your goal might be to become closer to your husband this year, one of your becoming goals. And a project might be around improving intimacy in your marriage. And for a single lady, your becoming goal might be to be more accessible and sociable this year. So you can't pick your husband for yourself, but you can put yourself in a place where you can be seen more, where you can meet more people, where you can connect with more people. And then a project around that might be to actively develop your social life. So I'm just helping you see how your becoming goals can then become concrete projects, right? But remember to make them smart. Remember to make them SPOT. That means specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Okay, so let's go now to the planner, because I want to show you how the planner helps you to achieve your goals and to keep a record of your goals, because that is what most people said was an issue, is how do we first of all implement the goals, and then how do we keep the goals fresh in our minds. And the planner has project pages, and the project pages are designed exclusively to help you achieve your goals, to help you, first of all, break them down. You will see that we've put a deadline to each one. And then there's also a section for notes, so that you can flesh out the action points a little bit more. Now, the reason why there are these, arrows, if you can see these arrows of different lengths, is that you might have some particular projects that is only the first band that you will use. Can you see the first band of arrows? That might be enough for one project. For another project, you might need to use two of the sections. For another project, you might need to use all of the page for that particular project. So feel free to use the project page as you need it. Don't feel like, oh, my goal has to fit in one column. If it doesn't fit in the column, then it's too much. No, some goals are going to require a lot more detail. So do flex and use the project page as you require in the planner. So I wanted to talk a little bit about achieving goals through projects. And the first thing is to identify each step to fulfill the project. So let's say the project is to write a book, for example. When I'm thinking through the project, I had to need to think, okay, what's going to be the title of the book? What's the demographic of the book? Who am I writing the book for? um, what do that demographic need? So this is all at research and concept stage. So my first point in that might be research and concept stage. So what I'm doing in that time is thinking about the book, what the title of the book is, what I want to communicate in the book, who the book is designed for, how the information can be presented in a way that um, will be attractive to that market and that demographic. Okay, and then people have different ways that they write books. One of the things that I do when I'm writing a book is I write a book summary at the beginning. So what I do is, with each chapter, I think through what I want to say in the book, and I write the chapter titles, and they help me just isolate the various things that I want to share in the book. um, and then what I do is, either I block out time. I might block out a 2 or 3 week period. If I have, maybe a period where I don't have a lot going on, I might do a lot of writing in that time. Or I could write throughout the year, maybe writing a chapter a week or half a chapter a week. Okay. So if I was writing that in action points, I would put, research, write book summary, And then I would put book writing. So maybe I might put chapter 1 to 3 deadline. I'll put a date for that. Chapter 4 to 6 deadline. Put a time by that. Okay, so you need to identify, work through each step to fulfill the project. If you're, want to buy your first home, for example, then you know that you've got to, work on your credit score. That should be one of the things that you do, before you even start looking for a home, because getting a mortgage now is hard work. Um, um, on your action steps will be talk to a mortgage broker, find out how much you can earn based on your how much you can borrow based on your income, your deposit, how much do you have saved, how much more do you need to raise? Are there certain schemes, are there government schemes that can help you with your deposit? um, do you want to consider buying with a friend, pulling your resources if you're a single lady, buying with a friend initially, and living together for a couple of years with the idea of selling the house, taking your deposits individually to buy, your own place? So just, this is the beauty of project planning, is that what seems far can become achievable because you're thinking through all the steps and you're chunking it down. Okay. And there might be some steps where you need specialist help. So in your notes section of that, you will put speak to. Maybe there's somebody in your church who's a financial broker, you know, uh, uh, um, put their name by that as somebody to speak to. Or maybe there's somebody in your church who's a property developer, speak to them about sourcing property. So just chunk down, think through all the steps that are required, to make that project a reality. For something like buying a home, there's actually a lot of information online. There's actually a, process for buying a home that you can go online and literally download and tweak for yourself. So identify each step in the project, do the necessary research, allocate a time band for each step. This is also where a lot of people miss it. So one of our assistant pastors used to talk about the paralysis of analysis, which means there's some people who are so good at analyzing, studying, researching, but they don't do anything with what the information that they come up with. So give yourself a deadline for research, because research can go on forever. Give yourself a deadline for research, and then begin to give yourself deadlines for the various action points that your research has identified for you. And sorry, that's my husband calling. Let me put this on silence. Sorry. Um, and then think about what each step is going to require. How long will it take you, for example, if you wanted to buy your first property and your credit rating is not great? Think about how much. I think in about 3 months, you can do 3 to 6 months, you can improve your credit rating. So put a deadline. If you want to buy the property, this year in 2021, put June as your deadline for improving your credit rating, and then begin to think about all the things that need to. Improving your credit rating can be a project in itself. Clearing debts, uh, um, uh, reducing your credit card exposure, reviewing your spending. That in itself, can be, a project. So allocate a time band for each step and think about what other things you could be doing. So whilst you're improving your credit score, you could also be speaking to a financial broker. You could also be understanding property values in different areas. So you can actually sometimes work on multiple steps in your project at the same time. Okay, obviously we're writing a book. For somebody like me, it's easy. I know that it takes me about 5 hours to write a chapter. So I know that if I'm going to write a book with 10 chapters or 12 chapters, I need at least 60 hours of writing. That is before editing, reviewing, and all of that. Okay, so there are also some time bands that are by experience. You learn what it is that you need to do in that time band. So I'm just waiting for my next point, and my laptop doesn't want to go on to the next step for some reason. Okay, what's happening here?
Maybe you might need to reshare. Should I make you host so you can refresh and reshare?
Please, because I'm not sure what's happening here.
Yeah.
Oh, it's working now.
All right, cool.
I'm so excited. So I also talked about working for each quarter, allocate key goals for each quarter. Um, I spoke about the fact that we get overwhelmed because we're trying to do too much at the same time. Um, so if you have various goals in various areas, you might decide to focus on different things for different quarters. If you have financial goals, you might zone starting on them in quarter one. Your spiritual goals, I certainly would advise you to start on first. So maybe starting your spiritual goals in quarter one, getting those established, and then layering goals as you go on through the year. With the ones that require the least time going, maybe in the third or fourth quarter. Um, and then the next thing is to schedule it in the monthly diary, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in the next slide, and then finally move it into the weekly diary. And then last but not least, to do the work on the scheduled day. So let's look at the monthly. Okay, so in the planner, each month starts with this. It starts with a monthly overview, right? And so it's totally blank. You get all the writing in black is my writing. So what the sheet comes with is everything in brown and blue on the screen. Okay, so let's say, for example, you've decided that in the first quarter you're going to work on your writing goal and your social life. Okay, you're a single lady. Maybe you're writing about living single. Okay, um, so let's say this is January, and week 1 of January you're talking about you're going to work on the summary of the key themes and chapters of the book. And so whatever is in bold is a project, and whatever is not in bold with a bullet point is an action or a project point. Okay, so you will notice there's a star under, after summary of key themes chapters, there's a star. Okay, so the star is the day of the week that you've decided to do that activity. So you'll see that every Saturday in the month of January, okay, let's say Sally has allocated some time to do this. She might allocate an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, however much time she thinks it's going to take her each Saturday. Well, giving an overview of your month means that you look through your month. Most people, Monday to Friday, have a job or business that they're running. So for a lot of people, and this is a key point, your goal realization times are going to be your recreational times. They're going to be your weekends and your evenings. And this is another reason why people don't get ahead, because we are using that time on Netflix, we're using that time on WhatsApp and Facebook and Instagram, and we're not using that time productively. Now, I am into all of those things, but you've got to manage it so that it doesn't stop you from achieving your projects and your goals. So you've got to think strategically about your recreational time. Okay, so Sally, it seems, has chosen Saturdays and Thursday evenings as the days of the week that she is going to give to achieving her project goals. Okay, so we can see that throughout every Saturday in the month of January, she scheduled some time for her project of writing a book. So in the first week, she's working on the summary of key themes and chapters. And then from week 2, she's beginning work on writing a chapter a week. Okay, so if Sally continues this through the months of January, February, and March, by the end of March, she should have her raw manuscript. And that will mean that in April, she can then start the editing work, the proofreading, or whatever for another month or two. Okay, let's look at her other project goal, which is to actively develop her social life. So in 2021, she wants to increase the pool of people that she's meeting, right? She wants to maybe meet the man, and she just wants to get out there and meet as many people as possible so she can increase the chance of meeting somebody that, could be her husband. So one of the things Sally has decided to do is to um, make sure that she does something social each month. Okay. And something social that involves other people. So each first Thursday of the month, she's going to research her social activity for that month. So she scheduled that for Thursday evening, first Thursday of the month. She's going to think through, okay, what am I going to do this week to connect with other people? And she's decided that she's going to um, have a movie night, an online movie night with her friends, but she's going to make it a connecting one by asking every friend to bring somebody that the rest of the friends don't know. Okay. So she's going to ask her friends to bring a brother, a cousin, a work colleague, an old friend, that they don't know, to join them on the movie night. Okay. So second week or third week of the month, in Thursday, she's scheduled to call her friends or WhatsApp them or message them and say, hey, let's watch, let's hang out, last Friday of the month, let's watch a movie together. I think it'll be really fun if we get some new people around and you just chat about the movie afterwards. You've got to bring somebody that nobody knows. Is there a guy in your office? Is there somebody you dated before? Is your brother's friend? Just connect somebody and bring somebody we don't know to this online movie night. Okay. So she's going to contact her friends on the third Thursday of the month, and then the movie night is actually scheduled for the first Friday, last Friday of the month. So I did these two different goals because one is kind of more serious and one is kind of also serious but fun. And it's important that we make time for these sorts of things in our schedule. And if you don't, life and work will just get in the way of you having a life. So for a married lady, you can switch this. So your research activity for each month might be something new you could do with your hubby, right? And every last Friday of the month could be your date night. So whether that's, if there's no lockdown, going out, or if there's a lockdown, you're watching a movie together, playing a game together, doing a communication exercise together. There are lots of things that you can do as a couple at home. But scheduling it, is really, really important. So you will see the arrows, and the arrows show what the month is for. So each month, you can schedule, you should schedule important things. If it's a close friend's birthday, a child's birthday, a husband's birthday, a family member's birthday, they should be on your monthly schedule. If you have any special conferences, events, you're traveling, there's a work deadline, like all your key things, they should be on your monthly planner. And what they do is, what it does is just gives you a snapshot of your month. And this is very key. We're going to use this when we're talking about our weekly planning tomorrow. Um, Let me see if I can show you the real version. Um, so this is it in real life. Okay. This is it in real life. And it has a review sheet at the back, which I'll talk about next. The great thing about this is that each month in the planner, each month has a new sheet to demarcate it from the other month. And what you can actually do is you can put all your monthly sheets and monthly planner sheets together and plan your quarter. Instead of putting them at the beginning of each month, you can actually clump them together so that you can actually have an overview of your whole year. Plan your whole year at the beginning of the year, put all your key. This is what I do. When you get your planner, you'll see these interspersed between the planner pages to demarcate the months. But you could actually clump them all together and just use a planner ruler. I'm trying to say a planner ruler to actually demarcate your months on pages. The reason of doing this is that you can think through your year. You can write all the key events in your year. It's easy for you when they're together for you to flip through it quickly and think through January, February, March, if you're thinking quarterly or half yearly, than working through loads of pages. So there are lots of different ways that you can use the monthly pages. So let's go on to our next, which is reviewing your months. And somebody was asking about this um, yesterday, and it's come up again today in different ways, which is that um, you should take this is your review sheet is your way of being accountable to yourself. So at the end of each month, you should take a few minutes to actually think through, look through what you jotted down on the other side of the page for that month. So did you meet your writing goals? Sally needs to ask herself, did you every Saturday as schedule, did she fulfill her writing goals? Did she fulfill the activities required for her social goals that she put that year? Okay, sorry, that month. So just reviewing the monthly calendar and then asking yourself, if you didn't, what were the areas of frustration, lack of achievement? So for example, if something happened that stopped you, for example, COVID, there's some things that the lockdown affected. So that's a valid reason. For some people, there might have been a personal loss in the family that meant they were not able to. But sometimes you have to be honest with yourself and just say, I couldn't be bothered, or I was too lazy, or I did other things. Okay, and then each month you have an opportunity to start again. And I say this every time I talk about planning. I love a new year. I love a new month. I love a new week because there are opportunities to start again. You get 52 opportunities to start again each year. Sometime, or you can count every day as an opportunity to start again. But I know that some of us, once the week is going badly, by Wednesday, you're like, forget it. This week is gone. But guess what? There's another Monday coming around, and you can have another stab at your goals and projects. And so think also, when you've not been doing so well, think about why, and then think about what you're going to do differently. Are there, if you're, what are you, is there something that you tried that worked really well for you? Then that you've got to continue doing that, in the coming month. Are there things that were frustrating for you that stopped you? You've got to address those. And then lastly, self-care plans and strategies for this month. Each month you should try and do something for yourself, something to fill your tank, something to keep you going, whether that is going to be a massage, whether that's going to be a pedicure you do for yourself at home, whether that's going to be a line on a Saturday, whatever it is, or, coffee with a friend, whatever it is that fills your tank. Coffee with some friends will leave you depressed. But coffee with some friends will lift you buoyed up. There's a friend I never have coffee with. I ever leave her, I'm like, God, am I even born again? I always live so inspired. She's so inspirational. She'll just hold my hands. Let's pray about it in the coffee shop. I'm like, is this a human being or an angel? So you've got to look at, what helps you, what builds you up, and schedule that so that as you're giving out, you're also having things to look forward to. One of the things I used to do in January was plug in my holiday times. And my holiday times, my travel times will keep me excited because I know I'm going to have a big break in July or August or whatever. Obviously, that's not an option at the moment, but we can still um, build in little moments of relaxation, little moments of pleasure, little moments of enjoyment throughout, because, God has not called us to endure life, but to enjoy life. He said, I've given you life and I've given it to you in abundance. So we should make time to enjoy the abundance of life and the gift of life, that God has given us.